Hi, so it's been a little while. I was gonna make a Copenhagen video, but never ended up really making it. I might make it at some point in the future, but I don't know.
Oh my god, there's me!
Either way, this is a van video and it's been even longer since I've worked on the van, and part of that was because I was living in Sweden for the past 6 months. I'm back in Australia now though. But also, I have kind of been sitting on the footage for this video for a while. Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I actually got all of this footage before I left for Sweden. I just never ended up making the video on it, so that's what we're gonna be doing today. Oh yeah. Van part 3. Oh yeah. So there's a couple things I want to try and fix today. This is gonna be more of a fixing episode and more of just like a small additions rather than getting like the base foundations in, which is what we've been doing the previous 2 episodes, right? So the first thing I want to address, which is a pretty big thing, not gonna lie, is the seat. So if you didn't see the previous episode, basically this folds out like this into a bed or folds up like this into a seat. However, a slight issue with the seat is that it is way too high. I already hit my head on the roof and I'm not a very tall person, so any tall person who tries to sit in the back is gonna have a very hard time. And it just wasn't really working. And as much as I'd like to just lower it, it can't really do that either because it has to fold over the bench, which is already in the back seats. So this was quite the problem. I had to lower the seat, but I wasn't able to lower the seat. So what I decided that I was going to do was take the panel that is like this end panel here that you sit on and make that movable. So you can have it in bed mode where it's all the way up the top where it is flush with the rest of the bed, or you can have it in seat mode where it's kind of down on the bottom. Ideally it'll use like clips or something to clip onto the top or the bottom, and when it's sitting on the bottom you could just use it as a seat, and that's when it'll be in seat mode. You know, the back bench is folded up, you know the deal. But when it's in bed mode you can just take the thing out, pop it up the top, and then fold the rest of the seat down and boom, it's in bed mode. Alright, so that's the theory behind it. Now it's time to actually put that into practice. I started by unscrewing these piano hinges on the back, which separates the folding bit, which we built in the previous episode, entirely. And after taking that out, we were just left with the box like so, which I just unscrewed this bottom panel here, which is the panel that we want to have adjustable. From there, I realized that I wouldn't be able to have the seat be adjustable without taking out this middle panel, so that is exactly what I did next. And then from there, we basically disassembled everything we worked on in the previous episode. But don't worry, it'll go back on very shortly. Speaking of which, we now need to find a new way to mount the folding bit. I decided on using a beam that would go across like this, and after spending a while just standing around trying to work out how the piano hinges will go on, I went ahead and cut down the beam to size so that it would fit on the inside of the box like so. From there, it was just a case of screwing it in from the side, which my beautiful camera angles showed perfectly. And that was fairly sturdy. I thought that would do the trick well enough, but we'll find out how that actually went later in the video. And then I went ahead and screwed the hinge in, connecting it to the folding bit like so. Then from there, I decided to shift my attention over to the folding bit once again to kind of add some improvements that I've been wanting to make. Here it is, folded over the back seats, and as you can see, it's not the most level thing in the world. It dips down quite a bit towards the front, and that front plank there would absolutely not be able to support my head. You can see it's actually being held up by the pillow in the background there. The first half of this solution was to make this middle plank a little bit more supported, which I used these beams, which I bought from Bunnings probably, I don't remember, this was 6 months ago. I used these beams to prop it up a little bit, like so. Then for this end bit, I decided I probably need some legs that would fold down, and so I started by cutting this plank of wood right here, and after checking it with this long plank, you can see that it's a little bit too high up. And so, after trimming it down just a little bit more, you can see it is a hell of a lot more level now. Alright, perfect. So now it's time to actually design the leg parts themselves. I decided I'd probably use the same piano hinges. Well, not the exact same ones. I'd go to Mitre 10 and buy some like smaller ones, but same kind of type of piano hinge so that you can fold the legs up when you have it in seat mode, but then when you fold it out into the bed mode, you can have them fold down and it would be like quite cool. I don't know. So I started by cutting this very boxy plank of wood into a bit of a nicer shape that would have a little bit more of a point towards the bottom. This just helps with keeping it a little bit more level because the bottom of the van is not perfectly level and it's a little bit bumpy, so I figured it would probably be better if it's more of just a singular point. We can control that a lot more, you know the deal. And so I cut a bit of an angle into them with the circular saw like this, but as you can see on the other side the cuts weren't perfectly matching up. This is because the blade is circular, and even though it gets there on the top, towards the bottom it still has a little bit of room just because of the nature of it. So in order to fix that, it is hand sawing time. Oh yeah, woo! It's really not very exciting. I gotta do my best to make it as exciting as possible. But anyway, what was exciting is it getting done, and I went ahead and tested it, and it was pretty bang on.
Looks good to me.
As you can see with the shape of it, I gave a bunch of room for the piano hinge to be, just so it's a little bit more strong, while also kind of molding it to the seat shape like so. I'm actually really happy with how this turned out. But of course, it's not done yet because we need 2 of them. So I went ahead and traced the outline of this and started cutting it once again on the circular saw.
You should like the video. Set a thumbs up, I don't know.
And so, once both of them were cut, it was time to start attaching the piano hinges to them. I did this with more or less the same method that I did in the previous episode with the folding part. That's just by drilling a little bit of a pilot hole and then hand screwing them in, just because the screws are very not strong. What's the word for that? Weak. The screws are very weak. Then after that, it was time to attach them to the folding bit itself, which I used this little wood block here as kind of like a measuring bit. This was kind of difficult to do just because of the weird angles of the folding thing once again, but I ended up just propping it up with my head and then screwing it in, and that worked pretty well. Then once I had both of those in place, I had to add some sort of a clipping mechanism so that they wouldn't just fold out while it's in seat mode. So I used these little clips here, and these are perfect. These are really nice. It's just got 2 spring-loaded ball bearings in there, which kind of clamp onto this little bit, which you can just pull out with a bit of force, but it won't just clip out. It takes a decent amount of force. And so I screwed 2 of those into the right places, and here is the end result. Hell yeah. From there, it was time to just screw in the plank that I was talking about earlier to prop it up from the seat a little bit. And so, after quite a few hours of work, you can tell it was a lot because it's actually getting dark now. Here's the final result of it in the van itself. Perfectly level, as all good things should be. Alright, so now I want to turn your attention back to the plank that we were going to make adjustable. Kind of the whole issue that we were trying to solve in the beginning of the video. Well, this caused me quite a few issues, I'm not going to lie. In the old design, it was just kind of sitting on top and screwed in, but with the new design, it has to be able to go on the inside radius of it. Radius? It's not a circle. The inside walls of the box, there we go. It has to be able to go on the inside walls of the box down the bottom to form the seat. And so the first step of that was just to cut it down like so. And after doing that, you can see that we have a couple more issues. I put some clamps on the box like so, just so that I could rest it on the top, and as you can see, there's actually more of a gap at the front than there is at the back. Basically what's happening here is because the boards aren't being supported in any way anymore, they're kind of warping outwards a little bit like this. And this leads to a few inaccuracies that will be corrected for later on, but I can't really progress until they are corrected for. This makes this situation kind of difficult to say the least. And so, in order to continue with this new design, I'd have to go even further with the design of the whole thing itself. That marks the end of everything I did in Australia before the move to Sweden. From there, as far as the van's concerned, there were 6 months of complete radio silence. Absolutely nothing happening with it because, well, I wasn't there to work on it. I gave the van to my mate George to look after for the 6 months while I was gone, just to make sure that it, kept starting and stuff. Thank you, George. Appreciate it. But yeah, that is where this progress video is ending for today. I really hope you enjoyed this video. A bit of a longer van one. It's actually made it to the 8-minute mark. Oh my god. Never thought I'd see the day, especially on one where it feels like we didn't get as much done, but I don't know. In the next episode, I want to try and fix that warping planks issue and hopefully get that adjustable plank actually designed and in place. I might end up working on something else to do with the van. I'm not 100% sure yet, but I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Anyway, once again, sorry for this video taking so long to come out, but I hope you enjoyed it now that it's out either way. I don't know how many more parts of this I'm going to do. It's kind of difficult to make these videos, especially when I'm, grinding stuff on the main channel a lot more, but I'm trying to work on videos that I want to work on rather than stuff that'll, get views on the main channel. I don't really care about channel growth as much anymore. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'll talk about that more another time, but for the time being, I'm going to end this episode off here. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, I will see you later.